I just want to make something clear. It's very important. Vaccine or no vaccine, we're back.
If we didn't do any testing, we would have very few cases. That's the line from the president right now.
This caps off a week where the president has pushed for states to reopen. He downplayed the warnings of his public health experts. He accused Dr. Fauci of playing all sides of the reopening debate. And he inaccurately claimed we'd prevailed on testing.
If we didn't do any testing, we would have very few cases. No, actually, if we didn't do any testing, we would still have lots of cases. We just wouldn't know about them, which would be bad. If you happen to be a human being, or at least some kind of being that recognizes that people who get this thing are human beings, and human beings generally choose to avoid unnecessary suffering, illness, suffocation, pain, death, and mourning.
Can I just say at the start that the man is an idiot? Can I just say at the start, like listening to that sound, he's just an idiot. He's just a moron. Like, the idea that the President of the United States stands up and says, the problem with testing is that if we test, we have more cases. That's what he said. If we test, we have more cases. You know what? The testing doesn't make the cases. The testing reveals the cases. The number of cases out there is the number of cases out there. The testing helps us know how many there are. He literally believes that the problem with testing is that it somehow gives us more cases, and that's bad. It's bad for his politics. So
he said, when you test, you have a case. When you test, you find something is wrong with people. If we didn't do any testing, we would have very few cases. I know you think that I am being hyperbolic and making fun of him, and I am making that up, but I am serious. He actually said exactly that.
Donald Trump has been the worst president this country has ever had, and I don't say that hyperbolically. He is. But he is a consequential president, and he has brought this country in 3 short years to a place of weakness that is simply unimaginable if you were pondering where we are today from the day where Barack Obama left office. And there were a lot of us on that day who were deeply skeptical and very worried about what a Trump presidency would be. But this is a moment of unparalleled national humiliation, of weakness. When you listen to the president, these are the musings of an imbecile, an idiot.
It could be the testing's, frankly, overrated. Maybe it is overrated. But whatever they start yelling, we want more, we want more. You know, they always say, we want more, because they don't want to give you credit. Then we do more, and they say, we want more. But we have the greatest testing in the world. And don't forget, we have more cases than anybody in the world. But why? Because we do more testing. When you test, you have a case. When you test, you find something is wrong with people. If we didn't do any testing, we would have very few cases. They don't want to write that. It's common sense.
The testing itself might be, quote, overrated. The White House claiming it had a pandemic plan all along. This coming as Trump blames, of all people, yes, Barack Obama, a defense that has been recently demolished by many experts on the scene. Mitch McConnell admitting that President Obama actually had a pandemic plan in place, which undercuts a false accusation that the, quote, cupboards were bare.
Because right now, the only part of the country that has seen a consistent decrease in cases is the Northeast. Check out these regional curves. In the Midwest, cases appear to be on the upswing. And they haven't shown a consistent decline in either the South or the West, at least not yet. And to cap things off, there are few indications that the country has the testing capability or the contact tracing infrastructure it needs to competently reopen.
Basing our decisions on evidence, on facts, on the best science available is going to be extremely important for keeping Canadians safe.
The vast majority of Americans, the risk is very, very low.
Deswegen lassen Sie mich sagen, es ist ernst. Nehmen Sie es auch ernst.
Why do you keep using this?
Because it comes from China.
Racist.
It's not racist at all, no, not at all. It comes from China.
I want to ask everyone not to see others as potential enemies and not to point the finger of blame.
What do you say to Americans who are watching you right now who are scared?
I say that you're a terrible reporter.
this place, our home, our country, the United States, we are the epicenter. We are the place where you're most likely to die of this disease. We're the ones with the most shattered economy. And we are because of the fool that sits in the Oval Office behind the Resolute desk. We have never been as a country so weak as we are now, so pitied by our friends around the world, so cheered on by our adversaries as we decline. And there's no other way to put it. The response has been insane. It's asinine.
Likewise, Donald Trump has repeatedly questioned the expertise of public health officials like Dr. Anthony Fauci, the very people that he needs to make decisions in the public's interest.
The president is responsible over the last 4 months of degrading the international reputation of the CDC and America's public health infrastructure, and the release of these watered-down, highly censored documents from the CDC about how to reopen businesses is going to come back to haunt him also. It's just a very, very difficult situation that I don't think the president's going to be able to talk himself out of responsibility for, although he's certainly going to try, Chuck.
This is a terrible time for us to have a terrible government. I mean, both in the persona of the president who suggests, injecting bleach and that testing is the real problem and that viruses magically disappear and we don't need vaccines. It's a terrible time to have a terrible government in the persona of the president and in terms of what he can do to the rest of the government.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.